She's been building businesses since before we even knew what a business card was. See, from the outside, she looked like a hustler. But what I love about her most is that she stays open to learning, open to growing, open to still becoming. See, this episode is not about having it all figured out. It's about who we still want to be. This is Massiel Medina, and this is Success Unscripted, where we redefine success and figure out what it is from the inside out. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation.
So am I. So since we've known each other since we were teenagers, I think that's a great place for us to start. If your 16-year-old self saw you today, what would she say?
She would be proud, for sure. She would be, I think, surprised in how open I've been to growing. And forget about the entrepreneurship part, because I think she always knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur and grow in that aspect. But in an emotional aspect, I was a bit closed off, and I wouldn't create boundaries, and I wouldn't speak my truth. And I think that's where she would be very proud of me.
Yeah. How do you feel about you right now?
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm very proud of myself. It's taken a lot of deep conversations. It's taken a lot of opening up myself and deciding that I'm first amongst everything else. Because if I'm not in a good place, I can't give, I can't provide. I used to be in a place of like, everything was yes, yes, yes. I went to everything. I said yes to everybody. I didn't know how to say no. And realizing that that really not only overwhelmed me, but it drained me. Mm-hmm. And taking the time to do what filled me and to heal. Not that I'm completely healed, because we're all always working on healing, but to really, take the time to unpack those things that I needed to become a better version of myself.
Yeah. So you spoke about being proud of yourself right now. What would you say is something that you're really proud of that people may not know about?
I think that turning 40, I'm not 40 now, but when I turned 40, turning 40 and reinventing myself was really like a chapter that, I had a family business. I was in a relationship for over 20 years. My kids were between middle school, high school, and starting college at the time, that I decided to just reinvent myself and find out what I needed to do to really fill my cup. So I think that that's what being 40, and you know how sometimes people say, oh, it's hard to start over, and just going for it. But first I worked on myself, to started doing all of this personal development to really get to that point where, okay, now I have the confidence to work with, let's say, clients at the time. That's what I would say. It's just like turning 40 was the turning point.
Those milestones,
yes.
Right? Those age milestones can cause a pivot,
yes.
which it sounds like that's what happened with you. A big pivot for you at 40 years old. When you made a decision, it sounds like you made the decision, and I know because I was there, but you made the decision to say, I want something different. This is not the life that I want anymore.
And I would ask myself the questions like, why? Like, why am I still in this position? I know there's more out there for myself in a personal level.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, because I think many of us hear those whispers, right? We hear those whispers of something ain't right. Like something is off, or I don't want this anymore. But the how becomes debilitating to just uproot your life like that, whether it be losing a job, leaving a situation that you're not happy in, whatever that might be. It could feel scary, and that fear is debilitating. So I want you to talk to us about, how did you get past that fear to say, you know what, I no longer want this for me. Like, she doesn't deserve this. She deserves more.
I think that one of the questions that I asked myself at the time was, is this really how it's supposed to be?
Is this it? Yeah.
Because it's what I also saw, I think, in our culture and in other families and other people. Like, it was like the norm.
That was your reality.
Yes.
That was your reality.
So I think it was like...
I have a question for you. I'm sorry. Before you keep on, I want to ask you this. When did you realize, maybe this isn't right? Like, maybe, like, like, no? Like, is there a pivotal moment where you were like, you were in a situation or something happened that you were like, that something clicked?
There was a situation where at the time my spouse, my partner, had said something of like, this is our reality. Let's put it that way, right? This is our reality. And that's when I said to myself, this is not what I want. So how could this be my reality? Maybe this is his reality and this is what he wants and that's okay, but this is not what I want. And that's what the moment that it really sticked in me, that when he said this is our reality kind of, situation. And I realized it wasn't for me.
Such a powerful moment, I think, when we can say, yeah, they're right. Like, they are right. Because I feel like we battle those situations for so long. Like, I remember I was in an old situation and they were like, you like to force everything. You're forcing it. And one day I was like, you know what? They're right. Because in my head, I was like, I'm not forcing it. I just want you to do what you said you were going to do. And we'd have that argument for years. And then one day I woke up and I'm like, you know what? He's right. I am forcing it. So I'm not forcing it anymore. And so one day we're having a conversation. I said, oh, no. You're right. I'm not forcing this anymore. So that's it. There's no more. And they were like, wait a second. Wait 1 minute. That's not what I meant. I said, no, that's what I mean, though. That's what I mean. And so there's such in saying, wait a second, maybe I've been looking at this the wrong way.
Exactly.
I'm trying to get them to do what they said they were going to do because that's what they said, right? But no, maybe the reality is they are showing us what they want to do. And I just need to accept that and then move accordingly.
That's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened because it's like, this is what I want to do. Yeah, this is what you want to do. But I just realized that's not what I want to do.
That's right.
That's not how I want to live my life. So it's time for a change.
Yes, the power in the pivot and the power of realignment and reinventing ourselves whenever the heck we want. And that has happened for you several times.
Yes.
So I guess let's talk about our new reinvention. Like I mentioned in the beginning, you've been an entrepreneur your whole life, right? You've built several things, several businesses. And so let's talk about where we're at now.
I'm at, I have a restaurant now, new business for me. It's called Casita RD. And we actually just had a year yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. It's in Baldwin, New York.
It's in Baldwin. Yes, Baldwin, New York and Long Island. And it was definitely a different industry for me. Total different industry. I've always been into food because prior to restaurant, it was supermarkets. And so we have a little hospitality there. It's not the same for sure. But this was a turning point where...
And you also always loved to entertain because we lived in your house in 2020 COVID days for sure.
I love entertaining. I love hosting. Everybody that knows me knows that that's actually, something that really fills me. Yes, it brings me a lot of joy. So I think that's where, because that brings me joy and being front of the house in a restaurant, I knew that it would be great, but there was a lot of learning and that I went with the flow, but there was times I was very overwhelmed for sure. I think that we're now at a point that it feels easier. I have a team that's supporting me. Besides, family and friends that have been supporting me throughout this year, but to have a team in-house that's really supporting you is very important. So we feel very blessed that within a year, we've been able to grow it to where it's at. And yeah, it's been a new adventure for sure.
Adventure for sure. Yeah. I want us to go back because oftentimes when we start something new, we can also fall into bad habits.
Yes.
We fall into like who we used to be, right? Especially when it's something we haven't done before. We're treading new waters. Yeah. And so previously in this conversation, you mentioned you were the yes person, right? Yeah. And you would say yes to everything and everyone, and everything was fine. From what I heard you say, I'm guilty of this too. It's like, everything is fine. I'm not going to pay attention. Like almost that toxic positivity. So would you say you fell into some of your old habits?
For sure. So
what did that look like?
Especially in the beginning, because we're creating, we're inventing, trying to figure it out in general. This location didn't really have a restaurant. So now you're also trying to bring in, people. Yes, your people and your network will support you, but you need the community to know that you're there, right? Mm-hmm. So I was working 6-7 days a week. Not that I'm not now, but I definitely have a better schedule now. But it was from open to closing most days, learning new things. So everything was, again, yes to everything. I was not asking for help. And I had people that could support me and could help me. I've always done this before, where I want to learn everything first. And then after I learn it, I kind of pass it forward, right? To the next person. And I think it's a control thing. And I've learned that, yes, I want to learn it to understand it. So when the person that comes to me and asks me questions, I can actually help them and I have an idea of how to like figure it out. But it's also a control thing. And I kind of like started to like let go of that now. And I've delegated a lot of those tasks to other people so that I don't feel as overwhelmed.
Yeah. How has that hurt you kind of, or what have you learned most kind of reliving that lesson again? You know, oftentimes we relive our lessons over and over again because we haven't truly learned them. And so where are you with that?
Well, I think that a lot of taking time for myself, and I don't mean the whole like, oh, I need to go get a massage or anything like that. It's just more of the things that actually fill me or replenish my energy, my cup.
So what is that? Like, give an example.
An example, movement is one of them. I love the sauna. I think everybody that knows me, I can go in the sauna like for an hour and like be in there. When I'm out of that sauna, I feel like a new person and I have my energy is up. So yes, sauna, movement, journaling, and meditation has been a new thing that I restarted. Like, you know, I used to meditate before and kind of like I lost it for a minute. And after we went to the retreat, that's one of the things that I said I was going to commit to. And now the two things that I do most importantly for myself is the sauna and meditation and even if it's a walk outside for a little bit, some movement. Those are the three top things that I try to do weekly.
Yeah, the non-negotiables that we need so badly. You mentioned going to the retreat. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, we've known each other since high school and we've had a long journey together. Kind of stop and start, right? There were some years that we didn't we disconnected. We knew each other in high school and then we reconnected and then we became closer over, a portion of years. And then you became my client. And then you also come on my retreats. So I think talk to me about, and you've done a lot of self-development work outside of that. So talk to me about how important this self-development work has been for you and how it's played a part in your success.
Well, I think that to start off, it has really built my confidence and I know that on the outside for a lot of people, it might look, oh my gosh, she has it all together. And she's building all these businesses. But there comes points where you have self-doubt. The imposter syndrome comes in and it really has helped. I think especially in the beginning when I started doing consulting, one of the things that the fear of who's going to hire me because I don't have a college degree was really in my head for a very long period of time. And doing this work has allowed me to see my strengths and that has built my confidence and to build that muscle on my strength.
Because it is a muscle.
It's a muscle.
Yeah.
So continuing to like, you know, when you focus on one thing, you know how they say like where energy goes, your focus goes, energy goes, something like that, right?
Energy flow.
Yeah. So I realized that when I focused on that one thing, I built that muscle and then I built the confidence. So it has really helped me like open up to like, oh, no, we don't have to have a college degree. My experience spoke for itself and just build that strength and continue to build it. Because there's times, especially when I started the restaurant, like I had my insecurities and I had my doubts of like, is this going to work? I know that I can build a business. I know my strength in the back end of a business because that's what my strength is, right? Now I'm starting something new. So continuing to do this work helps me to see my strength, to build myself and build my confidence.
Yeah. So what I'm also hearing you say and what we speak a lot about on this show is building success from the inside out, building confidence from the inside out, because those things, and you know, I had that insecurity as well, but confidence truly comes when we depend on the degree or we depend on the external validation. We will always be disappointed. We will always have a level of imposter syndrome or insecurity because we're needing other people to validate us. And so it sounds like, you know, we continue to learn and relearn those things. Where are you now with that? And how do you make sure you stay grounded in who Massiel is?
That's a good question. I think that most of all for myself, to stay true to myself is creating boundaries and also like giving what I can and not I'm not going to say over deliver.
Overextending.
Overextending myself.
Yeah.
And just speaking my truth. And honestly, and that means as small as like if I'm uncomfortable about something or something that didn't make me feel good, I probably won't voice it right that second. I'll get my thoughts together. And then the next day or the next 2 days, be like, hey, I didn't like that this happened. I'm very uncomfortable about it. Can we talk about it? And because I'm not holding it in anymore, it really helps me just keep be true to myself. Because before I would hold a lot of things in, and you could see it. You could tell that I was putting up a wall, and because I didn't want to like make anyone feel bad or hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But now I'm hurting myself because I'm not releasing that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So powerful to recognize that it's like finding your voice, finding your authentic voice, and figuring out, how do I make sure that I'm honoring myself and honoring that person too?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, us keeping it in, you're hurting yourself and that person. And it doesn't go away, as we know. Many things that I work on with so many clients.
I also think that, like you said, you were hurting that other person. And sometimes we create this whole scenario in our heads of, maybe Jessica's thinking X, Y, Z. Why don't I just ask her the question?
So simple. It could be that simple.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned that really has helped me like stay more grounded.
Yeah,
and not overthinking.
Yeah,
I'm a big overthinker.
Overthinking, yes. Many of my clients have that as well. Many of us do. And so I want us to kind of talk about how you've been releasing some of that. How do you release the overthinking part? Because I know so many people, accomplished individuals who have a lot, who are still overthinking so much. And to your point, if we just ask the question many times, it's a lot simpler than we make it in our minds.
Yeah. So to be honest, like, of course, I'm still an overthinker. And what I've found peace in is the silence. So when that moment comes that I'm feeling it and somebody asks me, actually, are you okay? What's going on? I realize, okay, now it's showing. I take a breath. I even go for a walk. I go to my car and like really just be in silence to kind of figure out, okay, what's going on? Why was I triggered? What do I need to voice? And what are the right words for that I am not coming to you like, what's the word? Just like coming at you. I want to actually ask you the question or really explain to you what I was feeling. So then maybe you have the chance to say, like, well, that's not what I meant, or this is where it comes from. So just taking that moment to silence myself really is what the answer is, to like really get my thoughts together.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, one of the things that I love about you the most is that you're still so open to growth, so open to learning. And it sounds like you're still becoming, right? Mm-hmm. You found your voice on one level, but then there's like a new level to crack, a new code to crack. And so I love that you're still exploring that and really understanding, okay, how do you show up for you? And how do you not only first challenge your own thoughts and your own beliefs, and then also challenge others? Does that sound like...
Yeah, I do that a lot now.
Yeah.
It's hard to have those tough conversations, and it's asking the right question or being in a good place. And I'm not saying that every time it works out, but I really try to have the conversation so that everybody's in a good place.
So important. Like I said, so important to find your voice in that way. Now, you mentioned the retreat. I'd love for you to talk about kind of just a quick overview, maybe 2 or 3 things that you experienced being with us in Morocco.
Adventure, for sure.
Adventure, yes. Adventure was definitely a theme.
Adventure, for sure. And I haven't been out, in the past year with the restaurant and everything. It's been like my time has been a little bit more limited because I'm growing a new baby, and being out and adventuring. I think out of everything, it brought me so much joy to like remind myself the fun that I have. And there was one year that fun was my word because I always felt like very stiff. And going into this retreat reminded me of the fun that I have when I adventure, the fun that I have when I am with people of my circle, my friends. And at the same time, the depth of our conversations also brings me, not only in a deeper level, but also reminds me of how much I enjoy and I missed it at the same time.
Yeah, having those deep conversations. Obviously, it's something I love the most. I hate surface level conversations. And we certainly have deep conversations during our retreats for sure. As you know, one of the things, especially last year, my theme last year was like releasing. And I believe that when we release, we receive. Yeah. And so what's one of the biggest things you're releasing right now in this moment?
Control is like the biggest thing for me. I always want to know like the outcome of something and I just have to, I can only control what I do and my decisions and my choices and how I actually react. So it's letting go of other people's, what they do. I can't control that. I can't control other people's choices, and I have to, just continue to create my boundaries so that that doesn't affect me.
So what does that look like in action?
Jessica, you and your questions.
The challenges. What does that look like? Because I think, and you know this about me, but I think that we say things, but then, and it sounds good, right? It has intention and that's what we want to do. But the action part, that's where it gets really challenging. That's where the real work is. It's like, I want to have more difficult conversations, or I want to release control. But then what does that look like in action?
Yeah, I know. And I'm still working on that, to be honest. There's moments that I catch myself and I want to have control of something going on. And I'll be just an example at the restaurant. Like the team is handling something. And I remember one day I came in earlier than usual. And my bartender says to me, "What are you doing here? Don't you trust your team?" And I said to him, "Yes, but I came to do XYZ, whatever. I actually went to do something." And when he said that, it reminded me of sometimes of how I want to control things. So I do go in a little bit later on a Sunday because I do have a full team to open now on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But I was in a transition at the time of my team leader leaving and not being there. So kind of wanting, I'm going to do something, but at the same time, I want to see everybody's things are there. So one is letting my team,
Self-awareness is key. Self-awareness is key for sure. So if I could give you a challenge, why not, right? Let me give you the challenge. Since control is something that you want to release of, and I think self-awareness is key, but I would say, and you spoke about journaling, even just having a log of, okay, where are the moments where I'm like in control? Because when you have more control, you actually lose trust.
Yeah.
Right? And your bartender gave you an example of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not only with them, but with personal relationships, with all relationships, right? So the more control we have, even let's say on our kids, well, they're thinking we don't trust them. And so now, since we know that's connected, making a list of where that shows up and then asking ourselves, where has that shown up years past? Because it's all connected. And then that could help us potentially get to the root of the issue and then say, okay, now I can release that root from whenever that was, when I was a teenager probably, and now I can build trust on a different level. Just an idea.
Thank you. I love that. I mean, I'm journaling, so that would be it.
Yeah, keep like a control list where I continue
when
to
I
keep...
see it, when I acknowledge it and just kind of...
Exactly. And it's just an awareness at this point, right? Just to put it down and then you can go ahead and go back.
When we're aware of it, that's right there.
Yeah.
A progress.
First step. The first step. Well, Massy, thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you. I thank you for choosing me as your friend, choosing me as your coach, choosing me to go on retreats. And our relationship, like I said before, has taken so many ebbs and flows, closer, further apart, closer. But I think one thing's for sure is that we support each other no matter what, and that we love each other.
Thank you.
So
thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being with us for this episode of Success Unscripted, where we redefine what success looks like from the inside out. If you found anything in this conversation helpful or it resonated with you, please go ahead and follow and share it with a friend. Until next time, here on Success Unscripted. We'll talk soon.